Hey, it's Thomas Skark 11 with a follow-up to my guide on Frontiernav. That guide went over the basics and core mechanics of Frontiernav, like how often you get different resources, the exact effects and mechanics of each probe type, locations of important probes, and an explanation of strategy behind placing probes for the best effect. I would suggest watching that video first, then coming back to this one, or at least watching it afterwards, as I won't be going over everything in it again. You can find it linked in the top right, then check the description of that video to come back here. Today in this guide, I'll be going over an updated list of important probes since Definitive Edition added more, the details of precious resources that I couldn't find enough info on before, and an example of an optimized probe layout balanced for precious resources, moranium, storage, and combat effects. If you just want the probe layout, you can jump to the timestamp for that, and I'll start with the probe list. There are 22 storage probes, 2 from treasure boxes in Cauldros and Sylvalum, 8 from main chapters and Kirsty missions, 1 from completing the Cauldros Collectopedia, and 11 from survey rewards, 1 for each region and district. 10 duplicator probes, 3 from chapters or missions, 1 from a treasure box in Oblivia, and 6 from survey rewards. And 12 booster probes, 6 of Gen 1 and 6 of Gen 2. Half of each are from survey rewards, 1 from the Primordia Collectopedia being completed, and the rest from missions. All survey rewards can be viewed in-game by pressing Y while on the map. For precious resources now, they come in at 5-minute real-time intervals, more details on that in the other video. At every interval you have a chance of getting 1 of each possible ore from each probe that you have planted on an FN site with that ore. See the FN sites on the map for a list of what ores, if any, they provide. You can only get precious resources if the site has a mining or basic probe placed on it. Depending on the ore, the base drop rate can be anywhere from 8 to 20%. The final rates generally correspond to the production rating of the site. A production rating will have twice the rate of a C production, for example. B is around 1.5. Bongelium is 20%, so an A-rated site with Bongelium will be a 40% drop. From testing that players have done, these rates appear to be flat and unaffected by the tier of mining probe placed on them, so the maximum of the most important ore Bongelium that you can get in a single return, for example, would be 6, because there are 6 sites that provide it. This means to maximize ore resources, you only need to be concerned that you place mining probes on the right sites. Now for what most of you are here for, an example of an endgame probe layout that balances maximizing everything but revenue. I'm not including revenue because you only need to worry about money during the story to buy skull parts or weapons and unlocking all armor appearances. By endgame you don't have any use for money anymore, so research probes can get replaced with mining. If you're earlier in the game and you want to use this for money, I'll just point out a few places you want to chain revenue instead. They were giving me around 250k before I transitioned to the endgame setup. This layout gives 125k mining, 255k storage, and 5 of the 6 Bongelium sites, while having plenty of other ores and a few spots for combat probes. As a general rule, you want storage to be no less than double your mining total. This way you can max it out in 2 returns. Any less storage than that and you waste moranium. Much more storage than that without reaching 3 times and you waste storage. So don't increase mining too much without also increasing storage to match. These are some spots you can use research chains instead until you reach access to all the other probes. These all have a few scenic views within the chain for a ton of money. The one in Oblivia alone with the boosted duplicator gives over 100k revenue. To explain more of why this layout works, assuming you already know the info from my previous Frontiernav video, the most important part is the Cauldros layout, as this gives the bulk of the mining and is the only source of Bongelium. You can swap out a duplicator for a mining to get all 6 Bongelium spots, but this cuts off 20k moranium. Duplicator probes don't count for resource mining even if copying a mining probe, but they can get a chain bonus to the effects on them. They do not, however, copy the effects of adjacent duplicators. For the storage, the logic behind it was explained in the other video, so I won't drag this out by repeating it all. I'll just mention that there are setups to get up to 550k storage at the cost of very little mining and sacrificing Bongelium spots. All that storage just isn't super useful if it takes hours to fill and you have no Bongelium to craft with. And for combat effects, I left space for a couple in each region where they don't interfere with anything else. Up in Noxalum, I used one of the dupes to get max effect from 2 combat probes for Telethia. You could swap these for more mining to be exactly half of storage. Let me know what other guides you'd like to see for Xenoblade X, and you can find the rest of the guides I've done in the playlist on the left. So see you next time.